Guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Yasser Ahmed. So in this video, we will continue looking at Chapter 1 from the ICT IGCSE course. We're looking at types and components of a computer system. And we'll now focus on 1.2, looking at the main components of the computer system. And we have briefly touched upon the central processing unit in a previous video. So we basically looked at it and, the CPU is the brain of the computer system. It's where all the calculating and decision making takes place. And most computers, modern day computers, have dual or quad core processors which can process instructions simultaneously and independently. So the CPU allows an instruction or data to be processed, decoded, and executed. So how does that process happen? So let's have a quick look here. So to process a set of instructions, the CPU first needs to fetch some data and instructions from the main memory. So it would be from the random access memory. Each instruction then needs to be decoded before finally being executed. Okay, so you have your input devices, which we looked at. You have your output devices. The processor is where all the decision making takes place. So in the random access memory, we have current instructions which are in use. Okay, and the random access memory can be directly accessed by the CPU. So to process an instruction, the data will have to be fetched from the random access memory, okay, and then it will be decoded and executed by the CPU. So let's have a quick look at primary storage. So primary storage, also known as main memory, is the component of the computer that holds data, programs, and instructions that are currently in use. So the primary storage is located on the motherboard. And examples of primary storage would be your random access memory and your read-only memory. Okay, and this memory is directly accessed by the CPU, the central processing unit. So let's have a look at the two different types of primary memory. So you have random access memory. It's really important when you are answering exam questions, you do write down random access memory and maybe a mark in some cases. So the random access memory is a part of the computer that will temporarily store instructions whilst it's being processed by the CPU. So every time you open up an application, a file, a piece of that memory is being used by the RAM to process that instruction. Okay, RAM is volatile. So what that means is when you turn off the computer system, anything that was in the RAM will be wiped off and cleared. So all the data was lost. So if you had, like, for example, a computer system or mobile phone which is starting to run quite slowly because you've opened up so many applications and a large percentage of the random access memory is being used, maybe the best advice would be to restart the computer to reset the memory. So as I mentioned a moment ago, is volatile, so all data will be lost on a reset. RAM can be read and written too, unlike the read-only memory. So the random access memory will contain data which is being processed by the CPU. Okay. Now the read-only memory is built in, can't be changed. It's only read-only, and it normally holds up the boot up instructions to start the computer. So when you turn on the computer system, it'll have instructions which will tell the computer system what to do in order to boot up. Unlike RAM, random access memory, which is volatile, ROM, read-only memory, is non-volatile, which means that memory is not lost when the computer is turned off. So that's a big difference between the two. Normally, the random access memory will have more capacity to store more data than the read-only memory as well. So here's typical exam questions. One component of the internal memory of a computer system is random access memory. State two characteristics of RAM. So RAM can be read from and written to. Read-only can only be read from. RAM is volatile, which basically means when you restart the computer system, any data held in a RAM is lost. And RAM is temporary storage, okay, so for any instructions, data that need to be processed by the CPU. The internal memory of a computer consists of both ROM and RAM, so it would be very typical to see a question like this where you have to compare the two different types of memories together. So as I said before, guys, it's really important you write out what these are. So read-only memory used to store, the startup instructions, non-volatile, so data is not lost when a computer is switched off. And then random access memory stores current programs, instructions, volatile, so data is lost when a computer is turned off. And we'll have a look at input and output devices again. So devices need to be connected to a computer to allow data to be inputted and outputted. Okay, so we looked at keyboard devices, mouse. We looked at printers and speakers to output data. Backing storage is your storage device. So input device is a device that can pass data into a computer, and devices that take data from the computer are also known as output devices. But let's look at what is backing storage. So backing storage is also known as secondary storage, and backing storage is non-volatile, which means that data is not lost when a computer is turned off. And backing storage, such as your fixed hard drive, can store data for a long time. So you can turn your computer on and off as many times as you like. Data will be stored for a long period of time. So this could include your applications, it could include your pictures, videos, documents. And users tend to make copies of original files onto backing storage. So backing storage could also be external drives, which could contain backups of files from your fixed hard drive. So describe what is backing storage, secondary storage. So backing storage, also known as secondary storage, is non-volatile. So you can see we keep using these same keywords again, which means data is not lost when a computer is turned off. An example of backing storage is a fixed hard drive. Data is stored for a long time and can be accessed at any point, read and write. Okay, and users tend to make copies of original files onto backing storage. So data can be read and written to on backing storages as well. Okay, so that was 1.2, the main components of the computer system. Just to recap, we had a look at the CPU, and the CPU is used to basically fetch and decode and execute instructions and data, which is held in a primary memory. Okay, and then we had a look at two different types of memory: random access memory and read-only memory, and some typical exam questions. And finally, we had a look at backing storage. Backing storage is like your hard drive, also known as secondary storage. And this is when we need to store files for a long period of time so we can access them at any point, even if we turn the computer on and off many times. Right, guys, please join me in the next video. We're going to be looking at operating systems 1.3 in a little bit more detail. Thank you again for watching this video. Please drop your comments below, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Please like and share. Thanks again. Bye-bye.